Have you ever felt like life is pulling you in so many directions, you don't even know where your peace went? You wake up tired, you go to bed exhausted, you smile outside, but inside, there's a war going on. Mental balance, it's not a luxury anymore, it's a survival skill. Let me share with you a simple truth. You cannot control what the world gives you, but you can absolutely control how you respond. But here's the challenge. Most of us have trained for a job, we've trained for fitness, but how many of us have trained our minds? Mental balance doesn't mean you're always calm. It means you know how to bring yourself back to calm. That's the difference. That's maturity. That's strength. Let me tell you a short story. There was a man walking with his 8-year-old daughter in the park. Suddenly, the little girl tripped over a rock and fell. She cried, not because she was seriously hurt, but because the fall scared her. The father didn't shout, he didn't panic. He simply sat beside her, wiped her tears, and said, "It's okay to fall, sweetheart, but the goal is to learn how to rise faster each time." That's mental balance. Not denying the fall, but mastering the rise. Many of us are walking around with invisible wounds, stress, anxiety, overthinking, but the world sees us smiling, so they assume we're fine. That's why balance is not just about what's outside, it's about what you're carrying within. Now ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind every day? We clean our homes, wash our cars, detox our bodies. But when was the last time we detoxed our minds? Don't just scroll, reflect. Don't just react, respond. Don't just exist, align. Mental balance is the art of staying centered in a world that constantly tries to throw you off track. What kind of balance is the art of staying centered in a world that constantly tries to throw you off track? Sometimes people will misunderstand you, sometimes plans won't work out, sometimes your own thoughts will be your enemy. But here's the good news. Peace is not something you find outside, it's something you build within. Remember, your mind is like a garden. If you don't intentionally plant flowers, weeds will grow automatically. So feed your mind with uplifting books, gratitude journals, honest friendships, silent moments, purposeful thoughts. A turbulent mind leads to a turbulent life, but a calm mind creates clarity, and clarity creates direction. Let me share one more moment. A monk once said to his disciple, "You are not your thoughts." The disciple asked, "Then who am I?" The monk smiled and said, "You are the one watching those thoughts." That's what awareness is. That's what balance is. You don't have to react to every emotion. Just like clouds pass by in the sky, let your thoughts pass too. Watch them. Learn from them. But don't let them control you. And lastly, give yourself permission to rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is wisdom. Rest is healing. Even God rested on the seventh day. So why are you trying to run 24/7? Mental balance comes when you slow down enough to hear your soul again. Let's stop living a life that only looks good online. Let's build a life that feels peaceful offline. Because the truth is, you don't need a perfect life to feel balanced. You need a present mind to feel peaceful. Have you ever been to the gym or tried a home workout routine? You pick up a dumbbell, you start lifting it, and at first it feels heavy. Your arms ache, your muscles tremble. You even question whether this discomfort is worth it. But if you stay consistent, day by day, week by week, something starts changing. The same weight that once felt unbearable starts feeling lighter. You lift it with more ease, more strength, more grace. Now think about this. What if your mind is the same? What if every negative thought, every moment of stress, every wave of anxiety is a weight that you're meant to train with, not avoid. Just like a physical muscle doesn't grow overnight, mental strength also doesn't come from a one-time motivational quote or a quick meditation session. It's a daily commitment, a conscious repetition of thoughts, habits, and attitudes that build your resilience. Imagine a student preparing for exams. He doesn't become mentally sharp by just reading the syllabus once. He studies, revises, practices mock tests. He makes mistakes, learns from them, and slowly his confidence grows. That's exactly what happens when we train our mind consistently. We learn to handle life better, not because life gets easier, but because we get stronger. There's a beautiful saying, ships don't sink because of the water around them. They sink because of the water that gets inside them. Your mind is like that ship. The negativity of the world, the stress from your job, the judgments of others, these are all the waters around you. They only become dangerous when you let them in. But how do you build a mind that doesn't absorb every insult, every pressure, every rejection? The answer is training, repetition, discipline. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you wake up and the first thing you do is open your phone. You scroll through social media, pictures of perfect lives, smiling faces, people showing off their success. Subconsciously, you start comparing. She looks better, he's richer, their life is more exciting. Without even realizing, your day starts with a weight on your heart. And most importantly, you start getting into beliefs that everything is going so perfectly, you can do nothing wrong, and you fail to do anything. That's a hard. But now imagine an alternative. You wake up, and before touching your phone, you sit in silence for 5 minutes. You take deep breaths. You say 3 things you're grateful for. You read a few lines of something positive or spiritual. It may feel insignificant at first, but you've just done your first mental push-up of the day. And if you do this every single day, guess what? You're building strength. Your mind becomes less reactive, more grounded. You don't compare as much. You don't rush into anxiety. You've started to train. Think of professional athletes. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds to perform under pressure, to focus when it counts, to not get discouraged when they fall. They have coaches, routines, habits. Why should your mind be treated with any less importance? One of the greatest problems we face today is not that we don't have time, it's that we don't have mental awareness. We let our minds run wild. One thought leads to another, and before we know it, we're trapped in overthinking, fear, and self-doubt. But with training, you become the master. You notice when a negative thought arises, and instead of letting it spiral, you pause, you question it, you replace it. Just like an athlete has to say, I will run today, even if I'm tired, you say, I will focus on gratitude today, even if my circumstances aren't perfect. This is not about suppressing emotions. It's about strengthening your capacity to deal with them. Let's take another example. A mother managing a household, children to care for, meals to cook, work to handle, emotions to manage. It's easy for the mind to get overwhelmed, but a trained mind learns to prioritize peace over perfection. It understands that mistakes are part of life, that not everything has to be controlled, that breathing in the middle of chaos is more powerful than controlling the chaos itself. And here's the most beautiful part. The more you train your mind, the more you inspire others. Your calmness becomes contagious. Your stability becomes strength for your family. Your mindset becomes a lighthouse for someone else going through a storm. So yes, mental training takes effort. But every time you choose silence over reaction, reflection over judgment, patience over panic, you are lifting the mental weights. And as your muscles grow, so does your life. Not because everything around you changes, but because you do. You become less influenced by the noise and more in tune with your voice. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and become a master of your mind. So the next time life throws challenges at you, and it will, don't panic. See it as an opportunity to train, to grow, to strengthen. Because in the gym of life, every struggle is a chance to build the most powerful muscle of all, your mind. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and regretted it almost immediately? Maybe it was during an argument with a friend, a disagreement at work, or even while speaking to your child. That split second where emotions hijack logic, where anger silences understanding, and before you even realize what happened, damage is done. That's the difference between reacting and responding. And mastering this one difference can completely transform your relationships, your peace of mind, and your entire approach to life. To react is easy. It's instant. It requires no training. It's like touching a hot surface. You withdraw your hand without thinking. But to respond, that takes awareness. It takes control. It takes maturity. Responding is what happens when you introduce space between what happens to you and what happens within you. Imagine you're driving on a busy road. Someone suddenly cuts you off. Your heart races. Your first impulse is to shout, honk, or even curse. That's reaction. But what if just for a moment you paused? You took a deep breath. You told yourself, maybe that person is rushing to a hospital. Maybe they're having a terrible day. You let go. You choose peace over pride. That's responding. Responding doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you walk above the chaos. You choose to stay rooted even when storms try to shake you. In one of the spiritual retreats I once attended, a monk shared a very profound analogy. He said, your mind is like a glass of water. When you stir it, the mud rises and everything becomes unclear. But if you let it sit still, the mud settles and clarity returns. Reactions stir up the mud. Responses allow stillness, and from that stillness, you see the truth clearly. The mud stirs the mud. Reactions stir up the mud. Responses allow stillness, and from that stillness, you see the truth clearly. Let me share a small incident from a regular family life. A mother is preparing dinner. She's tired from a long day. Her teenage son comes into the kitchen, slams his bag on the table, and says, "Why don't you ever make what I like to eat?" Now at that moment, she has two choices. One, react with, "Do you even realize how hard I work?" Or, "If you don't like it, make it yourself." Or two, take a breath, understand this isn't about the food, and respond calmly, "I understand you're upset. Let's talk after dinner." One path escalates the issue, the other diffuses it. Responses heal, reactions hurt. We live in a world that's constantly triggering us. Notifications, disagreements, expectations, disappointments. But what if every time we felt triggered, we saw it as an invitation to grow? I once met a man who had mastered the art of responding. He was calm, even in the face of insult. Curious, I asked him, "How do you stay so composed when people provoke you?" He smiled and said, "How do you stay so composed when people provoke you. He smiled and said, "When someone gives you a gift and you don't accept it, who does it belong to?" I said, "The giver." He replied, "Exactly." So when someone offers me their anger, their insult, their drama, I don't accept it. It stays with them. That level of emotional intelligence is built over time. It's not about becoming cold or distant. It's about staying connected to your inner peace, even when the outside world is in chaos. Think about the most admired leaders in history: Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. They didn't react, they responded. Even when attacked, misunderstood, and mistreated, they chose thoughtful action over impulsive retaliation. Their strength lay not in shouting louder, but in standing taller. Now bring this back to your own life. Think of the arguments that could have ended differently if you had paused before speaking. Think of the decisions that could have been better if you had taken just one more moment to reflect. Think of how much pain could be avoided if we chose understanding over ego. Every situation in life gives us two roads: the path of reaction and the path of response. One is crowded, noisy, and filled with regret. The other is crowded, noisy, and filled with regret. The other is crowded, noisy, and filled with regret. The other is crowded, noisy, and filled with regret. The other is crowded, noisy, and filled with regret. The other is crowded, noisy, but leads to peace and deeper connections. This doesn't mean we suppress our emotions, not at all. It means we honor them without being ruled by them. It means we feel anger, but we don't become it. We feel sadness, but we don't drown in it. We feel joy, but we don't lose ourselves in attachment. The next time someone says something hurtful or a situation pushes your buttons, don't rush. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what would a wise version of me do in this moment? That little pause could save your relationship. That little pause could protect your peace. That little pause is where your power lies. Responding is a habit, and like all habits, it gets stronger the more you practice it. Start small. Pause before replying to a message. Pause before reacting to a criticism. Pause before making assumptions. In that pause, you'll find not just your words, but your wisdom. And remember, you were created to be useful, not just your words, but your wisdom. And remember, life is not about avoiding difficult moments. It's about facing them with grace. The art of responding gives you that grace. It doesn't promise a perfect life, but it helps you build a peaceful one. Train yourself to respond, not react, and you'll begin to experience freedom, even in the middle of life's greatest storms. In the noise of the world, the most beautiful thing you can give yourself is inner space. It's the one thing we're constantly losing without even realizing it. From the moment we wake up, our mind is filled with notifications, to-do lists, voices, demands, opinions. There's hardly a moment to just be. And yet, it's in those quiet, spacious moments that we remember who we truly are. Creating inner space is not about escaping the world. It's about creating room inside your mind and heart to actually live in it more meaningfully. Think about your room. If it's cluttered with too many things, even the most valuable item gets lost in the mess. In the same way, when your mind is cluttered with too many thoughts, fears, comparisons, and regrets, your true wisdom, your joy, and your peace get buried under the noise. You don't lose them, they're still there. You just can't feel them. You don't lose them, they're still there. You just can't feel them because there's no space. Inner space is about learning to say, let me breathe before I break. It's about catching yourself before you drown in pressure. It's about understanding that just because your mind is busy doesn't mean your life is full. Sometimes the busiest minds are the loneliest hearts. I remember once being at a cafe, watching a father with his little daughter. She must have been around 5 years old. He was talking non-stop, her eyes filled with excitement, trying to tell him about her day, but the father was glued to his phone, nodding absently. She tried again, tugging on his sleeve. "Papa, are you listening?" And that moment struck me deeply. We're present, but we're not truly there. Our body is in one place, but our mind is somewhere else. We're everywhere, but we're nowhere. Creating inner space begins when you reclaim your attention. When you creating inner space begins when you reclaim your attention. When you say, I will not let the outside world occupy every inch of my inner world. Because when your mind is constantly crowded, even small problems feel like big ones. But when your inner space is clean, calm and open, you begin to see things clearly. You begin to respond to life from wisdom, not from anxiety. Let me take you to another real life scenario. Imagine waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is reach for your phone. You see an email from work, a friend's vacation photo, someone's opinion online. Before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already racing. You've given away your peace, your power, your priority. Now imagine a different morning. You wake up, take a few minutes in silence, breathe deeply, maybe sip your tea slowly near a window. You take a journal and write what you're grateful for. You pray, meditate, or simply sit quietly. You start your day with inner space. Do you see the difference in how that day would unfold? A crowded mind will always crave more. More noise, more things, more approval. But a spacious mind is satisfied with less. It finds richness in silence, meaning in small moments, and joy in simplicity. I once heard someone say, if you don't go within, you go without. And how true that is. We keep looking outside for something to make us feel whole, but the wholeness is already within. It just needs space to breathe. Just like a seed already contains a tree, your soul already contains the peace you're searching for. It just needs silence to grow. And don't mistake stillness for weakness. In fact, it takes incredible strength to pause, to step away from the chaos, to not react, to not compete, to not please everyone. That's what inner space gives you. It gives you the power to protect your energy, to preserve your sanity, 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 to preserve your sanity. Many people think they need a long vacation to find peace. But peace doesn't come from the mountains or the oceans. It comes from making space inside. Even if you're sitting in traffic or standing in a grocery store line, it's about closing your eyes, even for 10 seconds, and whispering to yourself, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm safe. And in that moment, you've created space. The best relationships, the best ideas, and the best decisions come from a spacious mind. Because only when you're not overwhelmed can you really listen. Only when you're not rushing can you truly love. Only when your cup isn't overflowing can you pour into others without resentment. So today, make it a practice. 5 minutes of silence, 1 deep breath before a meeting, a walk without your phone, a night without scrolling. These small choices build inner space, and that space becomes your sanctuary. Don't let the world shrink your soul. Don't let noise replace your nature. You were not made to live rushed, distracted, and disconnected. You were made to feel, to grow, to connect, to be aware. And that begins not by doing more, but by holding space within for what really matters. In this space, you will find your calm. In this space, you will find your clarity. In this space, you will finally find yourself. Have you ever caught yourself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts? One moment you're thinking about something that happened yesterday, the next you're worrying about what might happen tomorrow. It's as if your mind is constantly running, like a non-stop movie reel, playing every scenario, every doubt, every fear. But here's something truly life-changing to realize. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. You are the one being you. 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 You are the one. This single shift in perspective can transform your inner world. Imagine sitting by a window, watching cars pass on a busy road. Some are fast, some are noisy, some are beautifully designed, others worn out. But you're simply watching. You're not running behind each car, you're not jumping into traffic, you're not chasing anything, you're just observing. Now think of your thoughts like those cars. Some are helpful, some are stressful, some are random, and some are deeply emotional. But just like the cars, you don't have to chase every thought that passes through your mind. The problem is, most people do. A single negative thought enters, and we jump into it, ride it, and allow it to take us to a destination of fear, worry, or sadness. But what if you could just observe it? Just say, there's that thought again, and let it go. That's awareness. That's freedom. That's where peace lives. You see, the mind is like a wild horse. It runs fast, it resists control, and it can take you in all directions. But the more you sit in the saddle, the more gently you guide it, the more it starts to trust you. Over time, it begins to follow your lead instead of dragging you everywhere. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you're waiting for a message from someone important, maybe a friend, a loved one, a potential employer. You've sent a text, and now hours have passed. Your mind begins to whisper, did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Maybe they're ignoring me. And before you know it, your entire mood is ruined over a situation that may not even exist. But now imagine a different scenario. The same situation occurs, you're waiting, the thought comes, but this time, instead of reacting, you observe. You say, interesting, I'm feeling anxious, my mind is telling me stories, let me pause, let me breathe, I don't have the full picture yet, so I won't jump to conclusions. That awareness changes everything. You go from being a prisoner of your thoughts to becoming the observer of your mind. You don't suppress your emotions, you simply create space between you and them. That space is powerful. That space allows you to choose your response instead of being dragged by your impulses. Even in spiritual traditions, this principle is deeply rooted. In ancient wisdom, the practice of meditation isn't about stopping your thoughts. It's about watching them, allowing them to rise and fall without holding on. You sit still, thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. Some are dark, some are light, but none of them define the sky. And in the same way, none of your thoughts define you. Let's look at another daily example. Suppose you make a small mistake at work. Immediately, your mind goes into overdrive. I'm so careless. My boss is going to hate me. I'm not good enough. That one small error becomes a doorway to a flood of self-doubt. But what if, at that very moment, you stopped and said, I made a mistake? That's human. What can I learn from it? Can you feel the shift? One version spirals into shame, the other leads to growth. The only difference is awareness. Our thoughts are like waves in the ocean. They rise and fall. Some are big, some are small. But the ocean doesn't become the wave. It remains vast, deep, and calm beneath the surface. That's you. You are not the wave of anger, anxiety, fear, or sadness. You are the awareness beneath it all. And here's the beautiful part. Once you begin to observe your thoughts, they begin to lose control over you. They still come, but they don't consume. They still knock, but they don't enter, unless you let them. This doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you emotionally intelligent. You understand what you're feeling, but you don't become it. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. Your mind becomes quieter. You respond more thoughtfully. You judge less. You worry less. You become more present, more kind, more alive. People may ask you, what changed? And you'll smile and say, I realized that I'm not every thought I think. I am the one who watches them. So the next time your mind fills with noise, pause for a moment, watch. Don't judge, just notice. Let the thought pass like a cloud. And remember, beneath the passing clouds, the sky is always blue. Beneath the passing thoughts, your soul is always at peace. You are not your thoughts. You are the quiet, wise observer who's always been there, simply waiting for you to notice. We live in a time where we are constantly connected, constantly stimulated, and constantly comparing. Every scroll, every post, every conversation carries an undercurrent of judgment, competition, or criticism. Whether it's gossip that poisons our peace, negativity that clouds our clarity, or comparison that crushes our confidence, one thing is certain: our inner world is affected by what we allow into it. And the truth is, if you don't consciously filter what enters your mind, the world will do it for you. That's why it's so important to intentionally declutter the toxic input that surrounds us daily. Think of your mind as a beautiful room. You wouldn't allow muddy shoes to trample through it again and again, right? You'd clean the floors, open the windows, bring in fresh air. But when it comes to our thoughts, we let every piece of negativity walk right in, unfiltered, unchallenged. So, if you let every piece of negativity walk right in, unfiltered, unchallenged, challenging, you couldn't come in your car, you couldn't go anywhere and get fresh air without being punished. And that's where our values and our principles come in. And slowly, the room becomes suffocating. You begin to feel tired for no reason, anxious without explanation, and drained without even doing much. That's the weight of mental clutter. And more often than not, it's not from your own life, it's from what you've absorbed from others. Take a very simple daily example. You wake up in the morning and check your phone. The first thing you see is a tragic news story, followed by someone's perfect vacation photos, then a viral argument in the comments section. Within the first 10 minutes of waking up, your mind has already consumed fear, envy, and conflict. And then we wonder why we feel uneasy the rest of the day. It's not just the food we eat that affects our health, it's the thoughts we digest. Decluttering toxic input doesn't mean avoiding reality or isolating from the world. It means being mindful about what you're consuming, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's understanding that every voice you listen to has the power to either uplift you or drain you. Every conversation, every piece of content, every environment you step into leaves a trace in your consciousness, and your well-being depends on what you allow to stay. I once knew a woman who was full of energy, optimism, and creativity. But over time, her light started to dim. She felt anxious all the time. She doubted herself. She second-guessed every decision. When I gently asked her what had changed, she said, "I don't know. I think I'm just not good enough anymore." But as we spoke more, I realized something powerful. She had been surrounding herself with people who constantly criticized, compared, and complained. Every word they spoke became a seed in her mind. And eventually, those seeds grew into self-doubt. She hadn't changed. Her environment had. And so we began the process of detoxing, not from food or drink, but from influence. She started to limit time with certain people. She unfollowed accounts that made her feel less than. She started listening to inspiring talks, journaling her thoughts, and spending time in nature. Within weeks, her energy began to return. Her smile became real again. Her thoughts grew lighter, and all she did was protect her mind like a sacred space. That's the power of mental decluttering. You don't just change what's around you, you change what's within you. Negativity is contagious, but so is positivity. Gossip can spread like wildfire, but so can kindness. The question is, which one are you allowing to influence you daily? Start becoming aware of the conversations you engage in. Are they nourishing your soul or draining your spirit? Notice the content you consume. Is it lifting your perspective or lowering your peace? Pay attention to the people you spend the most time with. Do you feel seen and supported or judged and exhausted? You have the right to protect your energy. You have the right to unfollow, unsubscribe, unplug. You have the right to choose peace over popularity, silence over drama, clarity over chaos. This is not selfishness, it's self-respect. Just like a gardener removes weeds so that flowers can bloom, you must remove the toxic input so that your mind can grow, so your joy can return, so your life can realign with what truly matters. Even a small step can create a big shift.